Safety accountability. How is it defined? The cornerstone of management systems is accountability. Management is held accountable for productivity. Management is held accountable for quality. But who is accountable for safety?
It's not enough to just tell an employee work safely. Safety is not just common sense. Safety has never been integrated into mainstream management practices.
The Piper Alpha fire, the Bhopal gas release, both designated as accidents.
An accident, by definition, is an unintended result, presumably something you have no control over.
The Challenger and the Chernobyl power plant explosions, also accidents.
Measuring safety by the number of accidents by something you don't intend is a suspect activity. It's like measuring output by counting products you didn't produce.
Accidents. After the unimaginable has happened, we demand who is responsible.
Managed activities manufacture products. Managed activities create quality. Why not treat safety the same way?
Piper Alpha, the Challenger, Bhopal, and Chernobyl. Edwin Zabrowski analyzed and categorized these disasters as man-made. They shared a disturbing number of common elements. Productivity before safety. Diffuse responsibilities for safety. Complacency over an acceptable record. Reliance on rules to create safety. Groupthink that rewards team playing more than delivering bad news. And undefined responsibilities for integrating safety into the work environment. Simply put, there was no accountability for safety. Are any of these elements a ticking time bomb in your organization?
You can think of accountability as sort of a Deming approach to safety. Deming showed us that managing small, specific, incremental changes creates quality. Why not manage safety the same way?
Why not? From the executive office to production management to the shop floor, there is no lack of concern about safety. Any safety manager will tell you that. Achieving results, though, is another matter. Let's define the key elements of safety through accountability.
Accountability is a management tool that holds every individual in the organization, from the CEO to the newest production worker, responsible for the specific aspects of safety that are appropriate to their job. For productivity, for quality, and for safety, there are three elements to creating accountability. First, your organization needs to define the specific safety-related activities that each individual in the organization will be responsible for. These are not goals, these are actions. Second, your organization will need to devise tools that will measure if and how well the activities are being performed. This will include independent measures of results directly related to the activities. Third, your organization will need to create a reward structure. Whatever measure you use to hold people accountable for their activities, the results must flow into the performance appraisal system of the company. Simply put, define, measure, and reward. It is a management system that gives you true control over the safety environment.
Does safety through accountability work? Lifestyle Furnishings International, Leprino Foods Company, and Imperial Oil Resources all have accountability-based safety systems. And in his 33 years of work with Procter & Gamble, Gene Ernest pioneered accountability-based safety management at the company.
The real light bulb that went off was an article called Behavioral Theory versus Reality, written by James A. Lee. And the conclusion that that author made was really the light bulb. And he said this, he said that there is scant evidence that attitudes can be changed and then behavior. But there's a mountain of evidence that belief is shown in the willingness to act. He says, therefore, strive for changes in behavior. And immediately I said, I know what we're doing wrong. Our system is directed at attitudes, an internal thing which you can't see, you can't observe, rather than behavior, which is external, observable, measurable. And that was really the light bulb that went off.
Lifestyle Furnishings International manufactures quality home furnishings in factories all around the world. Brands such as Drexel Heritage, Henryden, Lexington, Benchcraft, Berkline, Universal, and others operate as separate divisions. Lifestyle was looking for effective management of safety in divisions with different production cultures.
We want safety to be managed like every other part of our business. We want it managed like productivity, like quality. We want it managed like cost, where folks know what's expected of them and they're held accountable and rewarded for achieving those goals. We want safety integrated into everything that we do, into every decision we make. We don't want our managers thinking, okay, now I'm a production supervisor, but wait, I've got to stop and put on my safety hat and manage safety. We want them to think of it as part of a continuing management process, not as a separate issue.
With 11 plants, a trucking operation, and over 3,000 employees, Leprino Foods Company is the largest manufacturer of mozzarella cheese in the world. The ownership's commitment to safety needed to be realized by a safety management system that would produce measurable results.
Safety is not a soft issue, and what I mean by that, it's not something that we have to do. It's something that we feel is really an integral part of our business, and that's the way we treat it. We look at it, we put it on the same standards that we do the production lines or anything else.
Just because I care about what happens isn't going to make safety happen in the plant. What's important is that we do hold people accountable. From the bottom up, we've got the accountability going from the floor all the way up to the plant manager, and we get that support coming from the plant manager back down. And that's what really makes safety happen.
Imperial Oil Resources drills for and produces gas, oil, and gas liquids in western and northern Canada. It represents the flexible and robust nature of a safety accountability system that needed to evolve through a corporate merger.
Probably the greatest advantage of having accountability systems, strong, structured accountability systems, is safety responsibilities don't fall through the cracks. There's no misconceptions about who's responsible for what aspects of safety. Line managers know what they need to do. They know what tools they're supposed to use. They know what processes they're supposed to use. And strong accountability, strong tools for keeping track of accountability, make sure that no safety things fall through the cracks.
Accountability, a comprehensive approach to managing safety. What are some of the barriers to implementing it?
Safety usually is considered something that happens out here. In a safety accountability environment, that changes. Safety becomes not just a goal, but an activity at every level of the organization. Now, certain barriers may show up as a safety accountability system is introduced. This usually happens because you are shifting away from the way safety has traditionally been managed. Now the responsibility for safe work practices will be rightfully spread around the organization where it belongs. These are a few statements I've heard over the years which demonstrate typical barriers.
If I can't measure it, I can't manage it. There's no consistency in these safety numbers.
Managers live and die by the numbers. The problem with safety, as I see it, is they're looking at the wrong numbers. It's not that safety is unmeasurable. It's just that you can't measure it by what we traditionally think of as output or downstream measures. Accidents are not widgets. Accidents are unintended results. You can't manage something you don't intend. What you need to measure is what you do intend, the activities that produce a safe working environment.
I have no control over people's behaviors. I think it's unfair to be held responsible for accidents or injuries. I can't force people to act safely.
It's true that managers have no direct control over how people behave. And frustration is completely justifiable if you have responsibility but not control. But you can control the work environment. Keeping production flowing smoothly depends on a number of specific things. Actions, activities the people working for you do on a daily basis. You monitor the activities to make sure they're being done in a quality manner. A safe work environment is created exactly the same way.
I'm judged by how I meet my production goals, period.
Exactly the point. Safety needs to be on an equal footing with production and quality. If you want results, you have to reward it. But safety and productivity are not incompatible, just like productivity and quality are not incompatible. For example, if you want more output, you don't get it by telling people to work faster. No, you give people specific tasks, you shift resources, you train them for different procedures. You manage safe work practices exactly the same way.
I can plead, I can cajole, I can hold safety meetings, I can administer training courses, but I can't seem to affect what goes on, or the effects aren't lasting.
That's exactly correct. Safety is not something separate from the production process. Safety is part of the production process, and the responsibility should rest there. In a safety accountability environment, the role of the safety professional is someone with the big picture in mind. You act as a troubleshooter, a mentor, an expert, a trainer, and as a resource for best practices, not a safety cop.
Accountability isn't a program, a flavor of the month. It's a basic tool for managing effectively.
Safety accountability builds what formerly was perceived as fuzzy stuff into a solid management system. It quantifies and clarifies safety performance. There are multiple benefits to implementing this system. First, it creates an environment that is perceived as more fair. We all know the enemy of fairness is subjectivity. When you define the specific activities, create meaningful ways to measure performance, and reward based on documented performance, the gray areas of expectations evaporate.
I'll tell you, if someone said, Gene, your next raise will be based on what department has a lost time injury, I'd be very nervous. But if it was based on something that I could count, whether the people were locking out equipment, I could go out there and count that. I would feel much more comfortable with that approach.
In today's complex business environment, safety accountability is also an extremely flexible management tool.
The beauty of the accountability model is that it's just basic management. It's not a moonshot. It's something that we ought to do as we manage our business every day. It doesn't make any difference whether it's in China or in Indonesia or in North Carolina. It's just basically asking managers to assume accountability for the safety of the facility and assume accountability for their employees.
Another attribute I've observed is that accountability makes the process of creating a safe environment more efficient.
And if we can get commitment from the people right through your organization, we can take out a supervisor, bring a new supervisor in, and the culture will still be there, the safety will still be there, and it would just be a matter of the supervisor adapting to the culture rather than having all the employees adapt to a new supervisor.
And finally, accountability is extremely sustainable. It won't evaporate like a typical flavor of the month.
Accountability is definitely the glue that holds the safety program and the safety approach together. You can have very committed individuals, you can have excellent ideas, brilliant initiatives, but then it becomes, your safety becomes dependent on that initiative or dependent on that individual. Strong accountability structures pull it together. So even if a system changes, even if an initiative changes, or even if a key individual changes, your safety program doesn't fall apart.
In any system, if you're going to measure upstream measures, obviously you must be measuring the right things. If you're measuring the right things, they will correlate with the downstream results. In other words, if you have high ratings in the things that you do, you're doing them well, on a scale of 10, let's say you're doing them at 8, then you're going to have low injury results and vice versa. And that is really what will ensure sustainability of the system.
Accountability. A safety management system. It's simply good business.
And 8 manufacturing locations utilizing this approach to safety, using key elements of the behavioral approach. Those 8 plants had savings of nearly $22 million in workers' comp cases that were reduced, real dollars saved by using this approach to safety.
We, as a company, have probably improved our safety results by an average of around 15 to 20% a year since we've had these programs into place.
We're pretty excited about how we see things shaping up in our organization. I can tell you that our safety professionals feel very good about what's going on. They're excited to see their line operating managers engaged in accident prevention. They're excited about being able to provide training to enable their job performance. They're excited to see accountability starting at the top of the organization and working its way all the way down through the first line of supervision. It's very satisfying.
Safety is part of the business. You need to manage productivity, you need to manage volumes, quality, and you need to manage safety. And if you drop any one of those out of your organization, it falls apart. And today, through accountability agreements, through some of the tools we're using, safety truly is a part of the business. It needs to be managed like everything else. And if you can manage safety, you'll do a great job in the rest of the business as well.
We're no longer looking each day or each week talking about how many lost time accidents we've had, so that part has changed. And the other big thing I think we're proud of is employees that have come forward and feel now that we have an environment where they can show us things that they would like to work on and improve.
I said it makes me feel real good because I'm not in it by myself. We're in it as a team and working toward one end. So I don't have to feel totally responsible.
And many years ago, if you would have asked who's responsible for safety to a line employee, they probably would have named the safety supervisor by name. And whereas if you would ask it today, you'd get more of the answer that we all are responsible for safety.
Over the last 45 years in the business, I've worked with sincere, concerned management teams whose efforts at creating a safe working environment were frustrated by a lack of results. I've listened to dedicated safety professionals who have described their elation at initial successes, then their discouragement when the safety initiative turned into another flavor of the month. And I've interviewed countless smart, hard-working employees who want to work safely and help make things better. The only thing that I've seen work consistently is when an organization manages safety just like it manages production and quality. It's that simple.
Safety, accountability. It works.